10 years ago, a truly unique League Cup final took place. In a matchup nobody could have predicted, Wembley was divided between a sea of Welsh white and Yorkshire claret and amber. Swansea City faced Bradford City, with both sides aiming to win the trophy for the first ever time. This is the story of Swansea vs Bradford, the 2013 League Cup final. Swansea City and Bradford City, before the 2012-13 season, had one major trophy between them, when Bradford won the FA Cup all the way back in 1911. Both teams started the 12-13 campaign well, with Swansea replacing the departing Brendan Rodgers on the touchline with Michael Laudrup. Swansea hit the ground running with a 5-0 win away to QPR, and newly acquired £2 million Spanish striker Michu soon became a cult hero in South Wales. Their neat passing play saw them draw many admirers, and it would soon bring them to new heights. Bradford, under management of Phil Parkinson, were on the push for promotion, with their main man Narky Wells on fine form up front. Many high-scoring games saw them constantly loitering around the playoff spots, and the League Cup campaign began away at Notts County. An extra-time winner from James Hansen was enough to send Bradford through, but the Yorkshire side at this point had little idea how the run would end. On the 28th of August, both sides would be playing in the League Cup, and Bradford experienced a taste of things to come. A 2-1 win over Championship side Watford would not be their last giant killing of that season. Meanwhile, Swansea soared to a comfortable 3-1 win over Barnsley, and an injury time winner from Gary Monk in the next round sealed a 3-2 victory over Crawley. Bradford also won by 3 goals to turn dramatic fashion, with 2 late strikes from Narky Wells and an extra-time winner from Stephen Darby knocking out Burton Albion. Both sides were expected to lose their next games. Swansea were reunited with Brendan Rodgers as they faced Liverpool at Anfield. Laudrup's side sprung a surprise, with a goal from Chico Flores followed by a goal from Nathan Dyer, and whilst Luis Suarez would get one back, Jonathan de Guzman settled the tie with a late strike. Meanwhile, Bradford faced their first Premier League test when they travelled to Wigan, the side who would go on to win the FA Cup that season. The goalless deadlock could not be broken, and so penalties would decide the victor. Bradford would emerge as winners by scoring 4 goals to Wigan's 2, and Bradford would go on to host the mighty Arsenal. Swansea knocked out Middlesbrough to reach the semi-finals, but few expected Bradford to join them. Bradford faced the Gunners under the December sky. They took a shock lead through Gary Thompson in the 16th minute and held on for the lion's share of normal time, with victory in sight. But a late equaliser from Thomas Vermaelen would break bantam hearts. With neither side able to find a winner, it went to penalties. Bradford finally received their reward for holding out Wenger's side for so long, winning 3-2 on penalties. The League Two side had knocked out a Champions League side in one of the competition's greatest ever upsets. Wembley was edging ever closer. Bradford were first to partake in their semi-final battle, facing 5 times League Cup winners Aston Villa at Valley Parade in the first leg. Bradford were once again the underdogs, but they pulled the rabbit out of the hat yet again. Phil Parkinson's side soared to a 3-1 win, thanks to goals from Narky Wells, Rory McArdle and Carl McHugh to put one foot in the final. West Yorkshire was in a state of delirium. Swansea were also underdogs in the first leg, playing away to Chelsea, but they would perform an upset of their own. The 38th minute goal from Michu was followed by a 92nd minute goal from Danny Graham, as Swansea shook Stamford Bridge. The 2 second legs would be the underdogs' games to lose. At Villa Park, the hosts got the tie back on track when Benteke opened the scoring, and Villa would dominate, but were unfortunate to find Matt Duke in fine form in the Bradford goal. Soon they were punished when Gary Jones netted for Bradford, and although Andreas Weimann would get a late goal for Villa, Bradford won 4-3 on aggregate. The Bantams were heading to Wembley, having miraculously defeated a total of 3 Premier League sides along the way. They needed just one more upset to complete one of the greatest fairy tales in English football history. Now it was Swansea's turn to book their date with destiny, but their game was overshadowed by controversy. As the game drew on goalless, Eden Hazard kicked a Swansea ball boy in an attempt to retrieve the ball off him. Unsurprisingly, he was shown a straight red card, and Chelsea's hopes of reaching the League Cup final were over. The final would be a tale of two cities, Swansea and Bradford. The two teams would face off at Wembley on the 24th of February 2013. Wembley was beautifully divided between white and claret and amber, as both sets of fans looked to make the most of their grand day out. Bradford were hoping they could find one more upset, but it turned out they used all they had in the tank. In the 16th minute, a Michu shot was saved by Matt Duke, but Nathan Dyer pounced on the rebound to give Swansea the lead. 5 minutes before the break, Michu doubled Swansea's advantage. It was soon clear it would be the day of the Swan, as the teams went in at half-time. A few minutes after the break, a typical neat passing move from Swansea was finished by Dyer to get his second and Swansea's third, to all but confirm where the cup was heading. Salt would be rubbed into the wounds of Bradford when Matt Duke was sent off after bringing down Jonathan de Guzman when he was through on goal. An argument broke out between Dyer and de Guzman over who would take. Dyer was desperate to get his hat-trick, but de Guzman was the designated penalty taker, and so it would be his job to make it 4. Once the dust settled, de Guzman slotted in to put the game beyond any reasonable doubt. As hymns and arias broke out across Wembley, Swansea had time for one more. Jonathan de Guzman netted his second in the 91st minute to put the cherry on top. Full time soon followed, and history had been made. For the first ever time, Swansea City had a major honour, and they were only the second side from Wales in history to win a major English trophy. Gary Monk and Ashley Williams stood proud on the Wembley steps as they lifted the League Cup in the air. The Swansea dream had reached its ideal conclusion, and the side that had impressed so many with their beautiful football had the crown and glory they deserved. Bradford may have had to settle for silver medals, but the fact they had got so far at all was still an incredible achievement. Swansea's campaign ended in a poor run of form, but they still managed to salvage an impressive 9th place finish in a season that had formed memories to last a lifetime. Meanwhile, Bradford's season ended incredibly. A superb run of form towards the end of the season saw them lose only one of their last 9 games, and it cemented them a place in the playoffs, and they would have their Wembley redemption. A trip back to London for the playoff final saw 3 first-half goals be enough for Bradford to defeat Northampton as promotion was sealed, and so Parkinson's side would have Wembley glory after all. The 2013 League Cup final was a special moment in the history of English football. A matchup nobody could have predicted at the start of the season. It was a game of beauty, with 2 sets of fans delighted at the day out they got to experience. Since the 2013 League Cup final, the tournament has been won by teams that have finished at least in the top 6, and it is unlikely we will ever see such a matchup as we did in February 2013. And it is so important that we treasure the memories of such an unlikely final, as Parkinson's Bradford went on a Premier League knockout spree and Loudrop's Swans painted Wembley white.